What do you think when you hear these names? Philosophies, ideas, knowledge, thoughts, great minds. And what if I tell you that similar and even advanced form of these philosophical ideas actually pre-existed in the Indian philosophy hundreds of years before most of the Western philosophers were even born? Today we are going to cover 7 such philosophies which pre-existed in India. Well, philosophy is the mother of all sciences and studies, only her children have forgotten her. It basically origins from 2 Greek words, philin, means to love, and sophia, meaning wisdom. Therefore, it means love for wisdom. Philosophy questions and study topics such as reality, God, mind, ethics, society, etc. But I shall explain that in length in another video. Somewhere in 624 BC, a child takes birth in Miletus, in Ionia, Asia Minor. He grows up to be one of the 7 sages and founding figures of ancient Greece. He gives 2 propositions. 1. Everything is made of water, all comes from water, and returns to it. 2. Earth is a flat disk which floats upon water. He is also credited with the saying, "Know thyself." He is known as Thales, the father of all philosophies. Now the interesting part is that, in India, most of its philosophies are directly or indirectly based on the Vedas, a compilation of ancient scriptures with complete details on all aspects of life, from creation of the universe to birth, life, death, after death, and even liberation. These were written from 1500 BC to 500 BC, approximately 900 years before Thales. Since philosophy is about finding answers and explaining those answers, logic plays an irreplaceable role. It is a tool by the means of which philosophers reach truth. As per Western philosophy, Aristotle is known as the father of logic because of his book called Analytica Priora, which was composed in around 350 BC. It gave one of the most important and commonly used tools of philosophy called deductive syllogism. For example, all things which have smoke have fire. This hill has smoke. Therefore, this hill has fire. Now coming to the Indian side, a similar yet more sophisticated syllogism was developed by the Nyaya school of philosophy. It was founded by a sage named Akshpat Gautam who composed the Nyaya Sutras in 600 BC. An example of Nyaya syllogism is, this hill has fire, pratigya, because it has smoke, hetu. Whatever has smoke has fire, example an oven, udaharan. This hill has smoke which is invariably associated with fire, upanyaya. Therefore, this hill has fire. Now this was 250 years before Aristotle, the father of logic, even published his book. Now moving ahead in time to the year 1843, a well-known philosopher of the West named Stuart Mill published 5 methods of induction in his book, A System of Logic. And a very fascinating thing about this method is that 3 of them were found to be corresponding with Nyaya's method of induction, composed roughly 2443 years ago. Next is the theory of causation. According to the Western context, this was also founded by Aristotle, who lived from 348 to 322 BC. It basically explains how things are caused, what are the processes involved, and whether a new substance is formed or not. In Indian philosophy, theory of causation has been found in 3 different variations: Swabhavvad, Satkaryavad, Asatkaryavad, which are again divided into many other subgroups. It was first found in Samkhya philosophy established by the Vedic sage Kapila in 700 or 600 BC, about 200 or 300 years before the birth of Aristotle. The 4th topic is rather a peculiar philosophy called Hedonism. It believes that pleasure or the absence of pain is the most important principle in determining the morality of a potential cause of action, which basically means whatever that gives pleasure is good and what that gives pain is bad. In the Western perspective, it was founded by Aristippus of Cyrene, who was a student of Socrates, lived from 435 to 365 BC. Interestingly enough, the same philosophy was found in the Indian school of Charvaka, established by sage Brihaspati in 600 BC, 2 centuries before Aristippus, and later produced great minds like Vatsayana, who wrote the famous Kam Sutra. 5th on our list is atomism, the idea that everything is composed of indivisible and indestructible atoms was first proposed by Leucippus in the 5th century and was later developed by Democritus between 460 to 370 BC. However, a similar theory was already developed by the Indian school of Vaisheshika in the 6th century BC, which said that all physical objects are made of paramanu or atoms that combined in different ways to form complete substances. On number 6, we have one of the most remarkable form of philosophy, which is called idealism. It asserts that reality is not this physical world which we perceive with our senses, but is something in the mind, spirit, or consciousness. It is either entirely a mental construct or it is the reflection of something higher than us, like God. Plato is known as the father of idealism. According to him, there is a world of idea which is perfect in all sense. Nothing is created or destroyed in that world. This physical reality in which we live in is only an imperfect copy of the world of ideas. Let's imagine an object is placed between a light source and a wall. Now Plato says that the shadow casted on the wall is the imperfect world which we think is real, while the real object of the shadow is the actual reality which we cannot see or do not see. Therefore, this physical world is not real. This was between 428 to 348 BC. Now, a similar philosophy is found in the Vedantic philosophy, which is comprised of the Upanishads. Sage Yajnavalkya, featured in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad of 700 BC, says that the true self or Atma is different from the individual ego and is identified with the monistic principle underlying the universe, which is Brahman. Many years later, Adi Shankaracharya summed up this philosophy into Brahman Satyam Jagat Mithya. The Brahman is the only reality, while the rest is false illusion. Last but not the least, realism. Here again, Aristotle is regarded as the father of realism in Western philosophy. He rejected his teacher Plato's theory of ideas and stated that it sounds like a poetic metaphor. He says that the physical world is real and also validates our sense perception to learn knowledge. The same acceptance of real substances and validation of sense perception is again also found in Jain philosophy between 7th to 5th century BC in India. And similar such acceptance have been found in other schools of Indian philosophies, both in heterodox and orthodox. Now, as lovers of philosophy, we may ask if Indian philosophy was really so ahead of its time. Then what went wrong that today the Western thought dominates while the Indian thoughts are hardly recognized? Would you like me to discuss further on this question on another video, or do you have any topic of interest which you want me to cover? Let me know in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe and share. Let us meet again on Inspectopedia.